Oh, this is like a fake horror film, isn't it? I don't want it. 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 Oh, I hate this. Ugh. Good God, no. I hate this already. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Oh, you guys! I hate when I know it's gonna come. I know it's gonna be there. God, I didn't even get a good look at it, and I'm not going to. I'm not watching that again. No! What? What on earth is that? What? No way. No way. That is creepy. That is really creepy. The first bit of that kind of just looked like a massive cockroach. Like a massive cockroach. Like Archie's Weird Mysteries massive. And then it kind of looked animated in the second part. What did you guys think? I don't know. That was weird. That was really, really strange. Oof. Pretty speechless.
To me by a nephew of a trucker who had
a
an encounter with
one.
a police officer. This trucker was driving on Highway 152 in California. He got pulled over by a highway patrol officer. It was odd though, because the police vehicle looked like an older 80s model unit. The officer gave him a ticket and left. Later on, the trucker went to the courthouse to fight the ticket. The judge looked at the ticket, got up and asked, "Do you think this is a joke?" The trucker said, "Why?" The judge told him that the officer's name and ID number used on the ticket belonged to an officer that had died on that freeway almost 40 years earlier.
Ooh, I love traditional ghost stories. Oh man, they just tickle me pink. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic little piece of folklore. This is one of the reasons I hate driving alone. I just hate being alone. I just hate driving alone anywhere. Like one time I got lost in Oakville. Oakville! And if anybody lives in Canada, they know that what? You got lost in Oakville? It was dark and it was so foggy out and I was in this tiny little blue car and my mind kept racing, being like, oh my God, somebody's gonna be after me because obviously I'm in a blue car. I don't know. It was just really stupid.
Clark Smith. Timothy had a fear of being buried alive.
Me too.
This may seem like an irrational fear, but it was actually more common than people realize. Timothy patented a design for his own gravesite. Not only did he include a window on his tombstone, he also built a contraption that included a bell. In the case that Timothy woke up underneath the ground, he could pull a string and ring the bell to signal for help. Timothy passed away on Halloween in 1893, and he never needed to use the bell. The window to his grave is
still there? That's crazy. I mean, to be fair, being buried alive is kind of terrifying. It's one of the reasons that now I think it's a little bit more difficult for that to happen because you go through the whole embalming process. You know, I'm pretty sure during that portion they would discover that you're alive. You know what I mean? I am pretty confident that they'd find that out. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about that. But cremation, that's another thing. Oh my God, I wanted to be cremated. What about that? But yeah, people used to get buried alive. So I remember hearing a story the bell was a common thing. Why is this music playing in the background? What is this music? I don't like that. Even if it's a fake doll. Guys. Fuck. Don't pop out at me. Don't. I hate when it goes too long and nothing happens. I hate when it goes too long and nothing happens for a while, because then you think something's gonna go like at you at the screen. I'm so susceptible to all those games people played in high school. Like with computer games, you like get to the 3rd level and the woman would scream at you. I hate that. That's terrifying. That's actually terrifying. All those people should move. Whoever lives there needs to move out of that house.
That's not my cat. Totoro.
Oh, what?
Totoro.
Actually, I saw this one this morning on TikTok. I saw like this cat just like all of a sudden developing this really strange possessed meow, and the owners were like freaking out. But imagine if your cat just went from like meow meow to like row. Like that would be disturbing, and hopefully the cat's not possessed by another cat. I think all cats are possessed in some way. They always look like they're gonna kill you. My boyfriend's cat is constantly kind of has like resting face. And I'm like, hey, like your cat looks like he's gonna kill me. He's like, no, that's his happy face. I'm like, it's not his happy face. Oh my good God. That's not okay. The poor dog's like so angry. Tiny dogs are always the meanest. You know what I mean? Like there are mean big dogs, but tiny dogs are like, can be the nicest. Like my dog, she's perfect. If you've met her, she's the cutest, loveliest little thing in the entire world. But like, I mean tiny, tiny dogs, like the tiny scruffy dogs. They're like ready to just nip your ankles and like they just want to eat them like piranhas. And they are, when they are mean, they are mean. Like they are the definition of evil incarnate. And their owners are always like, what are you talking about? He's a sweet little baby. I'm like, no, he's not. He wants to eat my ankles.
Officer met up with the canine unit in front of the house.
God, it's storytelling.
The dog was described as being very tough and not scared of a thing, but it refused to go near the house. The officers searched the entire inside and found nothing but dead crows and dead rats. After the house was clear, they went outside to check on the dog. It was whining and staring up at the house. The officers followed the dog's line of sight and saw it was looking at an attic window. Inside the window, the officers could see a man wearing Victorian-era clothing staring back at them. For a moment, they stared at each other until the man took a step backwards and out of sight. The officer rushed back inside, looking for the man. Again, no one was found.
Doggos, they just know. They just know when stuff's up. You know what I mean? My dog used to just bark at random stuff. Like just always bark at a chair, specifically. It was really, really strange. Or she'd bark at a certain place, like near the piano in my house. I don't think my house is haunted, but she just would do that for a while. My mom thought it was my grandfather, which is kind of nice. So if it is him, it's like, okay, you can stay. But that's, clearly that dog knew something was up, wasn't okay with it, and said, hey, Popo, get out of here. Okay? Yeah, get out of there. Get out of there. What? Please tell me it's real. Wow, cool. I hope that's a real mermaid. I really hope that's a real mermaid. I hope mermaids are real. That'd be nice. That'd be so cool. My like 4 to 6 year old self would be so satisfied that like all the times I pretended to be one in the swimming pool in my hometown, I wasn't pretending to be something fake. I was pretending to be something real. Anyways, guys, that was our list of 10 scary videos that will leave you speechless. Obviously, I'm a chatterbox, so that was a bit of a challenge, I would say. But my heart's still racing from a couple of those. It's the worst. I hate pop-ups. They're the worst. I had this crazy vivid dream in 7th grade. I dreamt that there was a white van parked outside my house. A man got out, walked to my house, broke in, then went to my brother's room and killed him. I woke up freaked out. It was 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I went into the kitchen and turned the light on. A few seconds later, the headlights on a white cargo van outside flipped on and sped away. Ah! That's so not cool. I had a nightmare when I was 7 years old that I I still think about to this day. And I was 7 years old when I had the nightmare, but in my dream I was 26, or like I looked around this age. So I'm always like, what do I need to do? So that's super freaky, man. Dreams are some weird realm we live in when we sleep. And I quote, "My friend and I were talking to our roommate and her girlfriend one night. Roommate had just received her new phone and was sitting in bed using it while the four of us chatted. So roommate had sat her phone down while we were all chatting. She goes to pick it back up and it's gone. Like she had just set it down for a few minutes tops before she noticed that the thing was poofed. I call it for her and we can't hear it. We take the comforter and the sheets off the bed and shake them all out. We look under the bed, behind it, everywhere we can. The phone is gone. Even though we hadn't left her room at all during our conversation when the phone disappeared, we tore apart the whole apartment trying to find it. Finally, we decided to try her car. It was in the locked trunk. We lived on the 3rd floor and we're all in the same room watching her use it before it teleported." That is so weird. And I feel like that's happened to every one of us at one time. Like we'll put something down, it's completely gone. It just appears somewhere we had no idea it would be. Like that's nuts. Oh, that happened to me though. I lost a gem in one of my rings and it fell on the floor and I found it the next day in the kitchen. And my dad was there and I was like, "Dad, I'm gonna put this right here, okay? Don't move it." And he didn't touch it. And then next thing I know, I go to look over and it's completely disappeared and no one touched it in the house. An off-duty EMT was driving home through a storm when he spotted a Mercedes parked past a barricade with its hazard lights on. He stopped and walked over to it, shining his light in the back seat where he saw a man slumped over as if he were sleeping. In the driver's seat was a man sitting upright, staring straight ahead. He didn't blink, move, or respond to taps on the window, and the other passenger was slumped forward on the dashboard. Creeped out, the EMT stepped away to call the sheriff's station. Dispatch asked him for the license plate number, but when he went to check, a large truck was coming down the road, so he waited for it to pass. When it did, the car was suddenly gone. There were trees in one direction, barricades in the other, leaving the man wondering how in the world this car and its mysterious occupants could have simply vanished. Magic? Man, the things EMTs and like police officers see, you know? Like, they probably see some pretty weird stuff because they're the people call when weird stuff is happening or when awful stuff happens. And I don't know how that doesn't just haunt them every night. It probably does. So, poor guy, just another day at the job. I was sitting in my office one day when my desk phone rings, and it is my undersheriff asking me to bring him all the reports, dispatch logs, and any documentation rough to a specific so I get it all together and start towards his office. I meet him in the hallway and hand him the paperwork. He asked what it was. I told him it's the documentation you asked for. He then swears he never asked me for it, that he had just arrived and not called my office. He was on his way down the hall to ask me to get it together. So this is definitely a case of particles traveling back in time. It's time travel. And also a glitch in the matrix, whatever you believe. Oh no, we did this ahead of time. He hasn't arrived yet. That's what the aliens are saying as they're controlling our simulated reality. Just so you know, that's how they would say that. Someone recalls their dad having a little toy monkey that he used to teasingly say was his favorite child. It was an ongoing joke. This person and their siblings would try to steal the monkey, playing into it. One day they got a hold of the monkey and drew all over it with a Sharpie, then threw it in the garbage. They laughed when their dad searched for it, but he gave up when he figured they'd thrown it out. A few years later, this person was walking down the street in Toronto when they saw an orange object on the side of the road. They walked up to it and it was the exact same toy monkey, black Sharpie lines and all. This person is still stunned, unable to figure out how this is possible when their garbage is sent to a local dump that's nowhere near Toronto. I mean, people pull things out of dumps all the time, so that could have just been a very weird, universal, serendipitous moment. I mean, people throw away stuff in the dump all the time that could still be used, so maybe somebody saw that monkey and went, I don't know, I'm drawn to it. Here's one from my brother, quote, "I don't think our mom believed him, but I certainly do. He seemed spooked when he got home. He was sitting in the passenger seat, driving home alongside my mom. A bright green car swerved and hit them, knocking bits and pieces of glass into his arm. He jolted awake afterwards, just in time to see the green car pass them. He claimed he felt the marks the glass left afterwards too." Again, dreams, right? They just kind of seem, I really do wonder, whether dreams are when our consciousness reaches into those alternate universes and lives out a day in a life. Very strange, that'd be very funny. One evening, I was getting out of a Rotterdam subway when I spotted an old friend who I hadn't seen in a few years in the subway too. I call out his name, he turns, waves, and makes the call me gesture. The doors closed and the subway rode off. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. It was my friend who told me he'd just seen me as I got on the train heading home from the bar. Apparently I had grinned, waved, and gestured call me, then the door shut and the train drove off. I lived in Rotterdam. He lived in Enschede. That's just over 200 kilometers or about 125 miles apart. I mean, I'm kind of one of those people that the subway is a little bit of my like alone time. Like unless I see someone that I haven't seen in years that I used to be really close with, I'll like explode with happiness. But if it's like that acquaintance, I'm always like, oh, but I want to listen to my audiobook. That's pretty freaky though. That's really, really weird. I always find running into somebody on the subway that you were just thinking about really eerie, and it happens all the time to me. So this story I 100% believe. A boy and his mom were in a woodsy area near their backyard taking pictures of old cars to sell. Suddenly there was a rustling in the bushes and his mom told him to run, so he booked it. As he sprinted, he heard a clanking sound as if someone had jumped on the cars. He arrived at his house in a panic only to find his mom sitting at the table reading the paper. He asked his mother about it as an adult, and while she remembers having cars in the backyard that she sold, she doesn't recall this incident ever happening. Maybe she was replaced by the robot! Oh man, but my parents don't remember stuff that happened when I was a kid all the time. It's like they have selective memories. Mind you, my roommate pulls up stuff from high school that I just don't remember, and I don't know how she remembers them. Was on a road trip with family once. We stayed at a hotel for a night. Our room was nothing more than 2 beds and a restroom with a mirror on across from the beds. Everyone went to sleep but me. I stayed up playing a mobile game I was addicted to at the time. At about 2 a.m. I went to sleep. When I woke up, I noticed something was just ever so slightly off. The mirror was gone, the room had 2 separate bedrooms, and there were 3 beds. Apparently, I was the only one who noticed it because my family called me crazy. Still confused as to this day as to what happened. Again, dreams, right? Like that also happened to a woman I wrote about in another video where like she had different pajamas, she had different bed sheets, she went to work at the same building, but she worked in an entirely different apartment. I swear to God, dreams are where we go. Dreams are how we teleport. It's the key. Let's find a way. Or it's just the aliens again laughing. Oh no, we messed up. We meant to put 3 beds. Ooh. One evening, a man and his wife returned home from dinner. When he opened the door, he saw his wife sitting at the computer doing work, which is a normal sight when he gets off work, except for the fact that she was entering the house with him. When they went to bed, he told her that he'd inexplicably seen her sitting at the computer earlier. She got very serious and told him that she had seen herself sitting at the computer too. Creepy. That's so weird. I don't even know how to explain that. That actually kind of reminds me of one of the parallel universe stories I wrote about earlier this week, which you'll probably see. That where that kind of happened, where people kept seeing their boss in different places. I don't know, maybe it's a parallel universe. Learned a lot about those recently. My brain hurts. Anyway, that was our top 10 real glitches in the Matrix stories that will shock you. I hope they did. They kind of shocked me, as you saw. I was flabbergasted.
Now, here's something that's quite interesting. The recipe for Coca-Cola is considered one of the best kept secrets in the world, and they keep it secret by stowing it away in a large security vault. Since the recipe was first created in the late 1880s in Atlanta by biochemist John Pemberton, Coca-Cola has jealously guarded it with all they've got. In 2011, the company decided to move the famous Coca-Cola recipe to an Atlanta museum, but while many tourists visit the facilities each year, few and exclusive are the people who can get through the doors of the vault.
Yeah, I bet you Coca-Cola's killed people over their recipe. No doubt. No doubt the multi-billion-dollar, multinational, incredible corporation has spilled blood over their recipe. There is no doubt in my mind. This isn't Plankton versus Mr. Krabs here. This is a bunch of corporate agitators doing their best to ruin another company to make more money, and Coca-Cola firing back with hired guns and assassins in the night. 100%. There is no way that people who see that recipe that are not supposed to see that recipe don't get silenced one way or another.
Room 39 is a secretive building that the North Korean government has committed to securing foreign currency for the nation's leaders. Room 39 was created sometime in the late 70s and is said to be located inside the Workers' Party building in Pyongyang, taking its name, according to some sources, from the office it occupied at the party headquarters in its early days. The organization is estimated to bring in between $500 million to $1 billion per year or more, and may be involved in illegal activities such as counterfeiting $100 bills, producing controlled substances, sales of weapons, and even international insurance fraud.
It's a lot of money for one room. It's a lot of work to stockpile all that money. I just feel like all of North Korea is like a place that people shouldn't go, but go anyways, you know? Know what I'm saying? I feel like there's not a lot of good going on for people that aren't the leaders of North Korea in North Korea. It's a tough gig, I hear. Although, you know, same could be said about America. Or Canada. Or anywhere. Let's be real. The world's a nightmare, guys. Why are we here? I don't doubt that they're, you know, procuring money in ways that they shouldn't be procuring money, whether it's through counterfeiting or the sales of controlled substances, because what else are they going to do? They're just not going to have that big room full of money in case of emergency. They have to be ready for anything. And if they're going to be totally sanctioned against the rest of the world, they're not doing business legitimately. They're not doing things that are necessarily like good for trade with other countries. So they've got to be a little bit more sneaky about it, right? A little more covert. Makes sense. Surtsey Island from Iceland. Surtsey is a little island located on an archipelago off the southern coast of Iceland. It was formed as a result of a volcanic eruption that lasted for 4 years. Surtsey also has the reputation of being the newest island on the planet. Currently, it's open to a few scientists and geologists. This forbidden island is off limits for tourists, as it is believed that human interference will disrupt the ecological succession taking place on the island. Yeah, I mean, even putting the scientists there is a little questionable. I guess you'll get some answers about like the origins of islands and like how young islands, tend to kick things off. But be careful, Surtsey Island geologists and scientists. We want to see these ecologies thrive. We want little niches to pop up, little cool stuff to grow there. That'd be neat. Plus, you know, if the volcanic eruption was going for 4 years, who knows when the next little bit of lava is gonna come out of the ground and burn your face off. Be careful.
San Francisco sits a series of islands that are so jagged they have earned the moniker the Devil's Teeth. But this may no longer be a name based only in appearance. Because of the island's potential dangers, humans have been banned from stepping foot on the islands. The waters around the islands are still a popular destination for whale watchers, and because humans can no longer interfere, the Farallones have become home to one of the largest seabird colonies in the United States. Although you can still catch intrepid skin divers sneaking onto the islands, the government adamantly warns anyone that they do so at their own risk.
I think the scariest part of that island is that huge colony of seagulls. My goodness. You ever seen a big band of seagulls like that? That's horrifying. You have one piece of bread on you and they will tear you limb from limb. Oh, well, what if the seabirds aren't seagulls, but cormorants? Those things stink, bro.
Historians claim that the fort bustled with life and people until its population started dwindling gradually in 1783 when a fierce famine came, ultimately forcing the villagers still living there to flee. Local legends state that the reason for the kingdom falling into ruin after the famine chased its people out was that the fort was cursed. And what do we do when things are said to be cursed?
Fort.
That's right, we leave them alone. The Indian government seems to think so too. The Bungar Fort is the only legally recognized haunted place in all of India, as a government permit is required to gain access to the fort before dawn or after sundown.
Legally recognized, eh? There we go. Get that permit. I guess, yeah, a lot of people during the day, and if you're with a whole bunch of other people, it's not too big of a deal. I wonder how many like tourists are here like on any given day, and then how many of them see something haunting and they're like, guys, look, ghosts, and then everyone runs over and there's nothing there, you know? And I'm sure they did see something, but the ghost is like, I'm tricking you today. Everyone else is gonna think you're crazy. Good luck. That's wild to have a government recognition of hauntedness. I would love that. I would love to go to a place that a government says, hey, you can't come here after dark. Not because, you know, like there's, we're trying to hide something. Not because low visibility is bad. Because it's haunted. Diego Garcia, British Overseas Territories. Located between East Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, Diego Garcia is an important strategic asset for the US Navy, which has a major military base there. It's also said that some of the CIA's most important floating black sites could be located in the area. During the Cold War, the United Kingdom's rented the atoll to the United States for 50 years, but the island was not uninhabited, so before renting it out, the British government expelled some 2,000 Chagosians. Between 1968 and 1973, these inhabitants were forcibly sent to Mauritius, the Seychelles, and other British territories. Since then, the islanders have unsuccessfully demanded the right to return to their homes. Diego Garcia's tenancy expired in 2016, but the UK has extended the contract for another 20 years. Wow, just colonialism in action, eh? Just poof, get out of here, it's ours now. All these colonial nations. Bunch of jerks. I know the world looks the way it does now because of them, but is that a good thing? Would we be happier if that weren't the case? North Brother Island in the US of A. Located in New York City, North Brother Island is one of the most popular abandoned places in the USA. Originally developed as a quarantine hospital, it was the home to the Typhoid Mary. She was identified as the first American to carry typhoid fever. Later, this place became a rehabilitation center for drug addicts. Now, North Brother Island has a bird sanctuary and is permanently shut for the common people. I'm a common people. What if I wanted to visit? I'd like to see some birds. I'd like to explore an old medical facility. That's a big thing that people really like doing, eh? Is finding an old, busted up medical facility somewhere and exploring it with cameras. Just the newest American pastime, you know? There's baseball and then there's urban exploration in old abandoned hospitals. Take your pick. You flying a drone down there? What is this? That was neat. I loved that. I want to slide down that on my and then be trapped at the bottom of this hole for all eternity. But I mean, I guess I'll let the drone do it, right? Little less permanent that way. Neat. Oh, I wonder how many dead drones are at the bottom there. How many people have flown down and goofed up and like crashed into the wall, and now it's just piece of busted tech at the bottom of this enormous hole. I wonder how many monsters live down there, let's be real. The Lascaux Cave is a treasure trove for archaeologists around the globe. The cave complex contains prehistoric paintings that are 17,300 years old. The series of Paleolithic paintings that look hauntingly vivid hugs the wall and depicts animals like cattle, stags, bison, and many more. Sadly, the cave is closed to the general public since 1963. Archaeologists believe that human presence might destroy the ancient work of art. I agree, scientists. Humans do tend to ruin things, don't they? They just go anywhere they want, say anything they want, and just goof everything up every single time. But those are some lovely cows and bison, don't you think? 100% somebody goes down there and draws something inappropriate on the wall. Lunatics.
Surtsey is off limits because researchers don't want anyone or anything external to interfere with the evolution process. Due to water and wind erosion, the island has been decreasing in size since then. Research by the Surtsey Research Society has estimated that according to the current rate of erosion, Surtsey could be at sea level by the year 2100.
Sorry, I couldn't focus on that one because the scary version of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies was in the background. Like, come on, why are you gonna pick Christmas music for a thing about Surtsey Island? We already looked at Surtsey Island too. I guess this is just a more in-depth look, a more moving picture look, as it is. It's interesting though. I think that's a fascinating place to visit, but we're not allowed to visit. But we'll leave it be. We'll let it develop on its own. If you love it, let it go. They grow up so fast.
Oh, why that voice? Why are the voices like that? Why are the voices like that? That was a lot. That I just was thrown off. That was just horrible. Every moment of that video was not pleasant. First of all, the voices that sounded like they were on f***ing helium, but I guess their voices were distorted, which fair dues, fair dues. If you want to be hidden, that's fair enough. I did not like that. It reminded me of It Follows, turning the camera and there's just a tall figure staring at you and it kept coming no matter what. No matter how fast you ran, it was always right behind you. Gave me anxiety.
Hello?
No. Ah! Oh.
Who is it?
Someone was there. They started moving the camera. Holy. There's a hermit in the basement. Oh, that's why I don't want to live in a place that has a basement. You bring it on yourself. If you have a basement, there's always going to be someone hiding in the darkness. Oh, that scared me. I don't like that. Don't like it. Oh, no. No, drive away. Tá. Tá. Oh my god. Just reverse. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, I was preparing myself for a jump scare. I'm so glad it didn't come. There was so much build up and no release. I'm just like anxiety building in my chest right now. That was terrifying. Oh my god. Just reverse your car. Oh, just mow her down. Like, she needs to leave. That was terrifying. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's one thing I don't miss about driving is like driving at night by yourself down like quiet roads. Ooh, no thanks. Ooh. 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 I don't like it. Ah, that poor door. The hinges are going to be destroyed. Ah! No! Ah! That's just pure chaos and destruction. I hate it because I hate mess. But I'm actually kind of messy. No, I'm clean but messy, you know? Anyway, I hate this. I hate doors going like this. It's unnecessary. Also, all I can think about is how someone's going to have to go in there with the screwdriver and tighten those hinges because they're going to be destroyed. Cleanup's going to be a nightmare. Oh, I saw that. Creepy. That was like the grudge face behind the picture. The woman in the picture behind the picture. Or maybe it's not the woman in the picture. Why is this woman's face scratched out? Someone does not like this woman and this woman's going to die. R.I.P. to this woman. That was creepy. That was like the grudge.
Face value alone, it certainly appears as though these investigators may have actually caught a ghost on camera. If it does turn out to be true, one can't help but wonder who the spirit is. Could he have been a patient that died inside the makeshift hospital
Ooh.
all those years ago? While this particular entity is believed to be the main paranormal presence occupying the brewery, it's still up for debate whether or not his intentions are friendly
Ooh, I see.
or something a little more sinister.
Oh, that's creepy. He's so clear. But I just don't associate with environments that are potentially old and haunted. I just like new builds where no one can get me. As a ghost, what do you do all day? You've got so much time. Does he just float around? Is that all he does? Does he go somewhere? Can he go to many different places? I bet they don't sleep. That will be the good thing about being a ghost, is that you don't need to sleep and you don't need to go to the bathroom.
Even if you watch the footage in slow motion, it does little to solve the mystery.
Ooh.
While unexplained events like this are often quick to be treated with paranormal reasoning, in this case it certainly seems justified.
Don't know if that picked up on camera, but right when the creepy going down, there was an unexplainable bang. I would not be surprised if someone said someone was killed in this building, it's haunted. Ghosts. There's ghosts in the walls. There's too much paranormal going on. These videos are eventually going to come back and bite me in the ass. Ghosts around, they're getting angry. The spirits are angry.
In the clip, we can see the register as well as the front door leading to the darkness outside. All seems normal for a while, until we get a glimpse of something rather eerie. Take a look.
Ooh. It's like a glitch in the matrix. What the hell? What is that?
A ghostly woman can be seen on the other side of the frame. She then suddenly appears on the left, and then in the middle.
What's she wearing?
She jumps about as though the camera's skipping frames, yet her bodily movements are clearly recorded at
Oh, I
normal speed.
hate this more than anything. It's like The Grudge. I also don't know what she's wearing and it's kind of freaking me out. That's like a straight up glitch in the Matrix. She's just like time traveling everywhere. It's not really time travel, teleporting. That's the word. She's teleporting everywhere. She just wants a Slurpee at 3 a.m. Did you ever have it, Chris, when you were in high school, that at the local 7-Eleven, they'd do like a free Slurpee day in the summer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the best part of high school. It was like, well, it wasn't the best part of high school, but in the hot summer days, there would be like one day and everyone would go to 7-Eleven, you get a big gulp.
Oh, it was a huge lineup, though.
Oh, always a huge lineup, yeah.
Whilst one of them notices that there's a creepy face peering down at them from the upstairs window.
Hey. Look in the
Okay,
window.
I'm looking in the window.
There's somebody looking
Zoom
at us.
in.
Look in that window. Look in that window.
It isn't long until the figure seems to realise it's been spotted and quickly disappears back into the darkness.
What do we do? What do we do?
I couldn't entirely see, but I believed them. I saw some kind of outline. I believed them. I trust this guy. Don't know why. Seemed legit. You can always tell. There was no acting with this man's. He seemed genuinely quite scared. Also, that's the freakiest thing. I think about that when I walk by terrifying houses, is looking up at the windows and thinking you're going to see a face. Like, how would you react? I would just probably walk away. Probably wouldn't really react that much.
Mira, Odín. Mira lo que está volando. Toda la luz, toda la luz, toda la luz.
What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Okay. I can't tell. Chris, did you see anything? Oh, he missed it. But I saw nothing other than a red arrow pointing to blackness. I assume there was some kind of figure or creature or something lurking in the shadows. Could be because the lights are so bright I can't see entirely well. But I saw quite literally nothing but a red arrow and a red circle. Okay, so there's something in the distance. I don't see it, but that's creepy. But also, what do these men expect? They've got cameras. And cameras always seem to invoke the evil spirits. And then they're in some kind of cemetery. I saw a cross. They brought it on themselves. So, don't cry about it.
The famous time-traveling urban legend of Billy Meyer and the Pleujorans. One famous urban legend about time travel is that Billy Edward Albert Meyer and the Pleujorans. Swiss-born Meyer, so the legend goes, was abducted by a race of aliens called the Pleujorans who decided to take him on a journey through time. I would volunteer as tribute. That's all I'm saying. That sounds like the recipe for Doctor Who, and I want it. I want it so bad. Do you know how many days I have daydreams about this? Anyways, going back to the story. Back in the 1970s, Meyer claimed that these friendly time-traveling aliens took him to prehistoric Earth where he witnessed dinosaurs firsthand as well as the ancient surface of Mars. While on Mars, so he claimed, also introduced to J-M-M-A-N-E-U-L. Pronounce that, okay? The actual Jesus. But Meyer was just relying on his fantastical tale to be believed. He even, so he claimed, had photographic evidence. I hate when people claim they have photographs, but they don't actually ever show you. That's immediately you know it's fake. They're like, oh my god, I have a CD that tells the story of the human race, but I won't show anyone, but I just want you to know that I have it. That's so BS. I hate that so much. Show people. If you have pictures, do it, man. If you're gonna tell me something fantastic, you better have proof. Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain. In 1911, Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, who met just prior to working together at the all-female St. Hugh's College in Oxford and shared an interest in spiritualism, released a book that caused a sensation. An adventure detailed an experience they shared while visiting the Palace of Versailles in 1901. While wandering the extensive gardens around the Petit Trianon, they suddenly began encountering people dressed in 18th century outfits, LARPers, including a woman who strongly resembled Marie Antoinette. Had they encountered ghosts or slipped back in time somehow? Though they went with the latter for their book, which purported to prove their experience by researching what they'd seen with historical records, skeptics tended to believe a third option, that the authors of the book, written under pseudonyms, their true identities were revealed after their deaths, had made the whole thing up. Still, the reputation as respected academics did make other people wonder if maybe they had witnessed something way out of the ordinary. Again, same kind of deal, right? Something happens like this and you wonder, did this actually happen, and are we just too skeptical to believe it? I mean, one of the biggest tales we learned as a kid turned out to be not true, and I won't mention it just in case whoever's watching. I'm one of those people that would just love to believe in this kind of stuff, but logic says no! Like Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, Senior Royal Air Force Commander Sir Robert Victor Goddard, widely known as Victor Goddard, claimed to have experienced a time slip. In 1935, Goddard flew over what had been the RAF station Drem in Scotland on his way from Edinburgh to Andover, England. The Drem station was no longer in use. After demobilization efforts following the First World War, it had mostly been left to its own devices, and indeed, that's what Goddard said he saw as he flew over it, a largely abandoned airfield. On his return trip, though, things got weird. He followed the same route he had on the way there, but during the flight, he got waylaid by a storm. As he struggled to regain control of his plane, however, he spotted the Drem airfield through a break in the clouds, and when he got closer to it, the bad weather suddenly dissipated. But the airfield wasn't abandoned this time, it was busy, with several planes on the runway, mechanics scurrying about. Within seconds, though, the storm reappeared, and Goddard had to fight to keep his plane aloft again. He made it home just fine and went on to live another 50 years, but the incident stuck with him. Indeed, in 1975, he wrote a book called Flight Towards Reality, which included discussion of the whole thing. I mean, one of the things I really love about flying and traveling is that if you go to a different place and there's like that time difference, is almost as if you are technically time traveling, right? But it's disappointing in the sense that if somebody like Victor went through something like this, it sounds so far-fetched that we won't believe it, but you want to believe it, right? What if it was true? You know? Only he'll know. The legend of a time traveler who made a killing on the stock market. An unknown investor called Andrew Carlson managed to turn an $800 investment into $350 million by trading in high-risk stocks. Carlson, so the story goes, was arrested and later confessed he was a time traveler from the year 2256. That's a Marty McFly story if I've ever heard one. Biff, go back to your own time. Philadelphia experiment. Ooh. According to the legend, back in the early 1940s, the US Navy was able to render the destroyer US Eldridge invisible and move it. No way! By all accounts, the warship was dematerialized and transported to Philadelphia from Norfolk, Virginia, and back again. Some even claim the vessel was sent backwards in time by 10 seconds. Apparently, the experiment didn't go quite to plan, and some of the crew remained invisible thereafter. That would suck. Imagine being a part of an experiment and you're like, oh man, this sounds so cool, it'd be amazing that this actually worked, but then they're like, yeah, but you could actually end up being invisible for the rest of your life. Would you do it? Seriously, guys, would you do it? If somebody said, hey, you could be a part of an experiment that would change the world, but there is a, I don't know, 15% risk that you'll become invisible for the rest of your life, would you do it? On that risk, 15%, that's not too much. There's still an 85% chance that you won't. Rudolf Fentz. Back in the 1950s, so the story goes, a guy with mutton chop sideburns, love it, and Victorian era duds mysteriously appeared from nowhere in the middle of Times Square. The man looked startled, according to eyewitnesses, and was eventually run over by a car and killed? Oh my god! When his body was searched, 19th century money was found, as well as documents dating from 1876 that didn't appear to have aged a day. From these documents, the man's name was found, Rudolf Fentz. Attempts were made to track down his family, if he had any. Mrs. Rudolph was later tracked down, who just so happened to be the widow of Rudolf Fentz Jr., the mysterious dead man's son. Rudolph Jr., so the story goes, recalls how his father simply disappeared one day in 1876 and never returned. Shortly after, it was discovered that the urban legend originated from a 1950s short story by Jack Finney. Okay, so it wasn't actually a true story, but that's still kind of cool though. I'd like to read that short story. Father Neddy's Chronovisor. Father Pellegrino, love the water, or Neddy, who was a Catholic priest like Brune, invented a machine called the Chronovisor that allowed him to view the past. Neddy was real, however the existence of the machine, or even whether he actually claimed to have invented it, have never been proven. Alas, he died in 1994, I was born that year, so we can't ask him either. Do we really want time travel to actually happen though? Do we? That's my question. Because who's gonna be able to handle that right? You know? I feel like a lot of shit's gonna get messed up. Paul Dynack. In 1921, a Swiss professor named Paul Dynack fell into a coma for a year after succumbing to encephalitis lethargica. For that year, he claimed he went to the year 3096, where he switched consciousnesses with a man named Andrew Northman. Andrew had gone through a serious accident in this time, had an NDE, and woke up speaking a foreign language and not recognizing his family members. That's weird. That's so strange. I don't even know what to make of that. Was it his brain's way of preserving him from trauma? Don't know. Andrew J. Basiago. Back in 2011, tow man Andrew D. Basiago and William Stillings claimed that they were former chrononauts who had worked with alleged DARPA program called Project Pegasus. Original. The project, so they claimed, was conducted through the 1970s and 1980s, and the pair were chosen for a mission to Mars. Allegedly, they were to travel there using some mixture of time travel and teleportation. They also claimed to have met a young Barack Obama who was also part of the program. The claims were later officially denied by the White House. Of course they would deny them, though. Of course they would deny them. Can we really believe anything the White House says, right? They're the parents that are like, oh no, we didn't eat all the Halloween candy, no. Those were the goblins, right? But then in truth, there's actually goblins, and then you find out later, I don't know. It's all very far-fetched. John Titor claimed to be from the year 2036, but then disappeared. You took the bet. He first showed up on internet discussion boards in the late 1990s with fantastical stories and predictions of the future under the pseudonym of Time Travel _0, but later changed his screen name to John Titor. Quote, food and livestock are grown locally, people spend much more time reading and talking together face to face, religion is taken seriously and everyone can multiply and divide in their heads, were but some of his illuminations of the near future. He also made some interesting claims about Y2K and believed that the 2004 Olympics would be cancelled due to world conflict. However, sometime in 2001, Titor disappeared as soon as he arrived, claiming he needed to return to his own time. Well, thanks for visiting, man. That's nice of you.
Now this feels a little more demonic, I'll say. This feels like something off of a cursed tape or something similar. But what really bothers me about this is that the sound waves that they're showing on the screen here really don't line up with what's going on. Like, it's just like a visual to accompany the sound. I know that really has nothing to do with what we're doing here, but it just throws me right out when that sound wave doesn't match up with what sounds are being produced. It sounded like a person making noise, that's for sure, but modulated, maybe put through some sort of filter. And I didn't get any words either. It was sounds, just sounds.
John, my name is Joel. I'm the assistant manager at Associated Bank on Shopco Drive, located inside of the Cops. I'm just reaching out to you because I've received an email today stating that some of your customer identification info is either out of date or was not fully collected. So what that means is that I have like 5 questions or so to ask you, just about yourself. And the questions would be: are you a U.S. citizen? What is your country of birth? Are you a citizen of any other countries? Do you have an address outside the U.S.? And then if yourself or any friends or family members have ever held a high position in a foreign government. These questions were just either never gathered or they're just out of date now.
I don't know what to think about that. That is mucho sketchy for sure, especially I believe as a voicemail, right? You're gonna call them back and just like list off all those answers? Someone from the bank wants to know, I don't know, like is this person under threat of deportation? Is that what's going on here? Are they gonna get assassinated? Like that last question about like having family members that are a high-ranking official in a foreign government? Are they getting a hit called out on them? What is this? Is this guy really from the bank? There are just so many things. Like I would be looking over my shoulder at every opportunity from then on. Like I know we've got like some paranormal stuff going on in other videos today, but like this one feels like a real threat. This is a creepy voicemail my coworker received the other day.
Your dog disturbs the neighborhood at night. Either keep him up or get rid of him, or I will poison him. This is your only warning. Wednesday, 2:28 p.m. End of messages.
Lunatic. That's not how you deal with that. Oh my goodness. Call out a noise complaint. Go and talk to the person. Threaten to poison their dog? Lunatic. It's lunatic behavior. That is sociopathic, psychopathic, ridiculous nonsense right there. Just filth, man.
So I got an unknown call today, and I didn't answer it because I don't answer unknown calls, and I just wanted to play for you the voicemail I got and see if anyone knows or has heard it before. Just a moment here.
First saved message.
Oh. Ooh. Ah! Why are you holding your BlackBerry so close to the camera? That was like, you were like putting it like inside of your microphone. Is that necessary? I think the way that microphones work is that they pick up sound from all around. Unless you have like a directional mic, but even then. Regardless, that was some interesting noises coming out of there. There were some very concerning noises for sure. But that's coming from an unknown caller. Maybe it was a dog misdialing their owner. Maybe it was just some doinkus trying to scare random people by prank calling folks and leaving scary sounds. Or maybe this is the beginning of a long and horrifying saga for this poor woman with a BlackBerry. This was the first of many cursed phone calls, and they'll become more frequent and more intense, and then she'll find herself being woken up in the middle of the night by that kind of noise not coming from her phone, and then seeing some shadowy figure breeze out of her room.
Dylan Wallace receives a mysterious call from an unknown number. The time at which he received this call was 1 a.m. However, it was only after scrolling through his call history that he noticed he received this call, as his phone didn't go off during the time the call was being made. As a result of not having answered the phone, the following voicemail was left.
Dylan, you gotta move. That's the only answer. You gotta get out of there. You have to pack your stuff and go and leave the bed. Leave the bed that is that color. So whoever has figured out where you are and exactly what freaking color it is can figure that out on their own without you around. You gotta pack your stuff, just throw it in some green garbage bags, toss it in the trunk of whatever vehicle you own, and get out of town. Woo! This person probably saw you sleeping in that bed, and you did not know that they were there. Their presence was unknown to you, and they knew your phone number, and they knew how to get to you. Can you see that? It's this walking out of town this way too. That's just getting right out of there. See ya.
NORAD, AWS, Station Zulu Foxtrot 77. Zulu Foxtrot 77. Status alert Con 4. Status alert Con 4. Attention.
That feels like a military message or something. That sounds kind of like in Return of the Living Dead, when they accidentally open up that canister of experimental goop, experimental gas, the corpse in there. Yeah, like the military is letting you in on something might not be privy to. That just seems like a disaster in the works. I'm absolutely ready to rock.
First saved voice message.
I wouldn't want a voicemail like that. No. My phone is going into a bathtub if I ever get a voicemail like that. Although I guess most phones are more waterproof than they've been, so I couldn't pick out too many words. I think I heard "help me" at some point, which is disheartening, a little freaky. Whoever was making this call was obviously very distressed, and obviously the phone they were using was very busted. I wonder if there's like even a connection between the person who made this call and the person who got the voicemail. Like I wonder if this is just like a random occurrence. There's a lot going on here. Is this person becoming a werewolf? Are they taken over by a demon? There's a lot of questions I've got here that I'm not sure are going to get answered. But yeah, I think the first thing he said, even before like any of those captions came in, was like, if you see me, run away. Tough to hear from somebody that you know. Don't answer the door if it's me. If you do see me, it's not me. It won't be me. So either this person is like losing their mind, or they're becoming something different, or it could be that they've encountered their doppelganger and this thing that sort of looks like them is going around and taking out all their loved ones.
A series of voicemails you're about to hear were sent to the user's inbox, and each one is just as creepy as the one before it. Have a listen and see if you can figure out what it's saying.
I'm calling for Satan. You will go to hell, you sinner. Anthony, wake up.
Was she singing in that first one? It sounded like there was a little bit of a tune to that. The kind of thing you'd hear in a horror movie, probably. But I couldn't really pick out any words there. That's a tough one, to say the least. You gotta wonder if it was like a wrong number and it was somebody, maybe that was a little confused, trying to call family, trying to call a friend, and obviously that family and or friend might have a better idea. Because that really didn't sound like anything coherent to me. Maybe I'm just like not listening closely enough.
24 p.m.
Is the phone shaking, or is that the person on the camera making it look like that? It just sounds like somebody got a call from their pet dog. You know, like they're at the office too long and the dog's like, you said you'd be home by 5, I want my dinner, I want to go on a walk. You know, you dogs are so excited when you first come home. This is like a dog that like the owner did not come home and they've somehow managed to dial them up and just really give them the gears. That's what I hear anyway. I'm sure the context is, you know, it's supposedly like a demon or a serial killer or something. But to me, I'm picturing in my mind of minds a pet dog that is just super cheesed that their owner wasn't home on time.